I was settling in the patient, the one who was actively dying, and her kids were in the other room. I was in her room, I was settling her in the bed, she was unconscious, and I suddenly had a vision of, for lack of better words, like a being behind her bed. And what it felt and looked like was a big angel. And I think it actually did feel like it had wings, but the wings were behind it, like not opened. And the being or the angel in that moment felt like it was just there for her. Until the next day when I saw her up and awake, and I was like, holy crap, I feel like I just witnessed a miracle. Did my brain go back to that night where I felt this being in the room? And it was a big, solid, powerful being.
When Chelsea developed subsequent infections and a collapsed lung, hospital staff were forced to place her on a ventilator just to keep her alive. As friends and family gathered to say their final goodbyes, a nurse alerted Mrs. Banton to a strange glowing figure that had appeared on one of the hospital's monitors. She captured this photo. Shortly after the sighting, Chelsea was taken off life support and something miraculous occurred. She began breathing by herself and her vital signs slowly returned to normal. Hospital staff were amazed at Chelsea's recovery. The nurse who initially spotted the mysterious figure on the monitor even said, "I've worked here for 15 years and I've never seen anything like it." 2 weeks later, Chelsea was well enough to return home just in time for her 15th birthday, which was on Christmas Day. After Mrs. Banton had managed to photograph the angel, she said it had changed her outlook on life. She now looks at things differently than she used to, because she knows that God's in control. After panning around the room and gazing up at the dome in the middle, the man fixes the camera on several people praying on the floor of the mosque. Among them is a white, brightly glowing figure who also seems to be praying. Seemingly not startled by what he's just seen, the man makes another sweep of the mosque with the camera. Again, he fixes on the people praying and the majestic glowing white figure can be seen once again.
Angel or a moth? When East Jordan, Michigan Fire Chief Glenn Thorman saw this image taken by a motion sensor camera installed in his house, he couldn't believe his eyes. He was convinced that he had just photographed a real-life angel floating above his truck. He, of course, immediately sent the photo to his wife and also his pastor, who was equally as dumbfounded as Glenn himself. All of them believed that this was an angel sent down from heaven to watch over the family. But then again, some photo experts disagree. I really don't see an angel, though. A more grounded explanation is that it could be an insect of some sort, more than likely a moth. Come to think of it, it does have the shape of a moth in flight, but since it's not in focus, it could be anything. Despite the skepticism, Thorman remains firm in his belief that God has sent him a guardian angel to watch over he and his family. This footage has caused a lot of people to scratch their heads since the first time it was uploaded to the internet. The luminous glowing apparition that appears on the grainy black and white CCTV video certainly has all the hallmarks of being an actual angel, glowing body and wings and all. It stays in frame for a few seconds before flying away, right before mall cops arrived at the scene to check what the thing actually was. Of course, there's a big chance that all this is fake, so I suggest you don't suspend your disbelief as of yet.
Maestro, Los Ángeles.
But little do these churchgoers know that they may have been joined by something not of this world during their usual Sunday gathering. Take a look at what the cameras caught.
Comentaba que estas presencias siempre han estado junto a nosotros, pero en este caso ve.
A mysterious glowing white figure can be seen sitting amongst the crowd. What's particularly interesting here is that nobody in the group seems to notice the strange figure sitting with them. Given the setting, many viewers have dubbed this figure an angel. The fact that it's pure white and looks to be glowing has left many people in awe that this congregation may have been graced by the divine. Sadly, Doug's son Kyle passed away at the young age of just 20 after getting into a car accident with a truck on Highway 40 at Winghaven. He was on his way to a game he was scheduled to play that day. Months later, a man named Brian Roth was taking a photo of his grandson and his teammate at the exact same football field that Doug's son Kyle was headed to when he got into that fatal accident. All seemed perfectly fine at first until Brian took a look at the photo. Upon seeing this, Brian was equal parts fascinated and a little freaked out simply because he had no idea what was happening in the photo, so he submitted it to Fox 2 St. Louis, who covered the story. When Doug saw the story, he and the rest of his family became convinced that the figure seen in the photograph was that of Kyle, hovering over the field and giving it his watchful eye. This video was uploaded to the YouTube channel Scott Nuber Official in December of 2015. It shows a large sermon taking place in a church in Pretoria, South Africa. Everything seems fairly normal until around the 2-minute mark, when the cameras catch something odd in the crowd. It looks as though a large array of white glowing figures are standing amongst the other churchgoers. Some commenters have said that this is just a bunch of people dressed in white, which is making the camera pick up on it brightly. But that doesn't seem to be the case, as there are other people in the same room wearing white that aren't glowing in any way. In mid-2013, 19-year-old Katie Lentz was driving along Route 19 near Center, Missouri, when she was struck head-on by a drunk driver traveling in the opposite direction. Lentz was pinned in the front seat of her convertible. She asked the officials to pray with her, when suddenly a man who appeared to be a Catholic priest appeared out of nowhere. The firefighters that arrived on the scene said that their equipment was strangely not working, but as soon as the mysterious man appeared and started praying, their equipment suddenly started to work again. Eventually, Lentz was able to get out of the dangerous wreck. However, when she went to thank the priest for his prayers, he was nowhere to be seen.